Yes, here we are again for a new session, a biz talk about, this time about freedom, because that's very related with what I'm doing in the network marketing industry. But I'm not going to talk about network marketing, but more about what is it exactly freedom? How should we experience freedom? And do we experience it? Okay, so a little bit about myself. I was for long years in corporate business world. I worked a lot of hours, and I finally ended up in a divorce. I lost my job and in a burnout. So that's a horrible situation. I don't want to happen that to anyone. But yeah, I decided to do something different with my life. So I finally started in education for hypno-regression therapist and life coach, and that's what I'm still doing, but in the network marketing industry. So, uh, okay, enough about that. So let's go dive into the subject, the topic of freedom. Okay, so I take this as an example because that's all about freedom. Because right now there is Independence Day, the 4th of July in the United States. So I'm not a United States citizen, but still it's good to dive into that topic, because what does it actually mean, freedom? Yeah, so there is a declaration of the independence, and in that declaration, all people are endowed with certain alienable rights, such as rights to life, to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So that's when you are in the United States, you can really experience pursuit of happiness when you work on that part. Yes, so and also liberty. I lived for 4 months in the United States in El Paso, so I know the feeling about you can drive a lot of hours, you don't see anyone, and it gives you the feeling of freedom. Yeah, so it's a remarkable country where you really can feel the freedom. Yeah, so but okay, what is important, the last part of this point two, these rights are said to be inherited and not granted by governments. And that's a really sensitive subject. So that's why I'm talking about this topic. I know some people have difficulties with this subject and have a complete other opinion, but still I take the risk, right? Okay, so these rights are said to be inherited and not granted by governments. So, and what is happening right now? That's not, the governments almost determine everything in your life. Yes, so then we have to talk about universal human rights. So you can find it on the internet. It's free for everyone. But the main points for universal human rights is the right to life. Yes, that you have a decent life. The freedom from torture. Yeah, so yeah, you don't experience that a lot in countries where we live, but it still happens. Yes, the freedom of thought. Okay, this is a sensitive subject because, in my opinion, there is not much freedom of thought. You cannot say what you want. Yes, especially not on the internet, in social media, because they censor you, and that's not freedom of thought. So the universal human rights, they don't respect that. Okay, the freedom of work. There is not always freedom of work. Yeah, so there is discrimination in work, friends policies. There's a lot going on in the area of work. So that's why I like what I'm doing, the network marketing industry. Yes, freedom of health. That's also not for everyone available. Yes, there is no freedom of health. You have to pay high bills to maintain your health, and that's not the what is aligned with the universal human rights. Okay, so then the areas of freedom is also very interesting to dive into the areas of freedom. The areas of freedom is freedom of speech. What I already said, freedom of speech is not really accepted right now. because a lot of what you want to say is censored. Yes, and that's not in alignment with the universal human rights, and also not with the areas of freedom. Economic freedom. So that's also an important part, because a lot of people are depending on the government, on what the government does. So they are completely depending on the economy, on the government, on certain people in the world that wants to control everything. And one of them is the World Economic Forum. They want to control everything. And their slogan, you can find it on the internet. It's not hidden for everyone. You will own nothing and be happy. So they want you to own nothing and be happy. And they are working on that part. Yes, already. Yes, so there is no economic freedom. Yes, so, and that's what I said. I take the risk that not everyone agrees with me. Let's agree to disagree, but you can find it on the internet. Yes, that's what these guys are doing. Then the areas of freedom are personal. So in your personal environment, you should have the freedom of how to move in your personal environment, with what people you attach, what you do in your own environment. That's personal freedom. Yes, so, and freedom of movement. So everyone should have the freedom to move to another country, to move if it's for business or vacation or whatever. But in the pandemic, there was not much movement. Yeah, so there was no freedom of movement, and there was also no personal freedom. Yes, because you had to stay in your house because there were lockdowns, and there is no freedom at all at that point. Yes. Then the freedom of association. So now in my home country, the Netherlands, they are even trying to prohibit certain political groups. Yes, so they want to have them out of the government. So, and that's not freedom, right? So there should be freedom for association, yeah, to join clubs, groups, political parties, and that's not what is happening right now. So freedom is very sensitive, right? So, and again, this is all, you can find it on the internet, it is all without undue interference or restriction by the government or other authorities. So what is happening right now is we are experiencing forces from the government that we don't want. It is against freedom. Yes, governments are robbing us from our freedom. Okay, then that is also what I found on the internet, synonyms of independence. So synonyms of independence are freedom, liberty, autonomy. Okay, so excuse me for the pronunciation, but that's actually what independence is. And also self-rule, self-determination, and self-sufficiency and autonomy. Yes, so you have to ask yourself the question, how much do I experience right now in my life from all these things? Freedom, liberty, self-government, self-rule, self-determination, self-sufficiency, and autonomy. Yeah, so how much do you experience in your life right now? Maybe you should make a list and give each of those areas a number on a scale of 1 to 10. Yes. Then we have antonyms. So exactly the opposite of independence. Yes. So that's dependence. Most people are dependent on the government, what the government does. And the government is depending on globalists. Yes. People from the World Economic Forum, all government, almost all government leaders are in the World Economic Forum, where the globalists finally determine what your government is doing. Yes, it's not only for the Netherlands, it's not only for the United States, it's for every government. So, and then again, you will own nothing and be happy. And that's their final thing they want for us. Yes. So the antonyms are very shocking, because you are dependent. there's a constraint, there's domination, there is control, there's oppression, and there is obedience. You should obedience to the government and everything they say and everything they want. Yes, so, and that's not freedom, because they are selected by the people, by we the people. So, and that's not what we want, right? Then we have antonyms for of freedom: captivity, yes, slavery, again, oppression, restraint, limitation, constraint, and imprisonment. Isn't that what we all experienced during the pandemic? So, and what was the end result of the pandemic? It was like a flu. Yes, that it was like a cold. The whole COVID was like a cold, a flu. Yeah. So why did we have to experience all those things? Yeah. So because we don't fight for our freedom, and that's the point. Yeah. So there are stages of freedom. The first one is survival. So when you're in survival mode, maybe you cannot pay your bills and you get more and more debt. That's survival mode. Yes. Then we have the level of security. So you can pay for everything, but you don't have abundance. Yes. So there's nothing special going on in your life. Yeah. Then we have liberty. That could be financial freedom. And then finally we have abundance. And abundance, that is more that you have enough money, you can reinvest in whatever you want, you can support certain groups, you can have you can help other people, you can give employment. So, and that's abundance. Yes. So that's the final stage, and not everyone has that. Yes. So, okay, this is interesting facts, point 9. As of December 2020, so there are no numbers from after that, 10 to 16% of government employment was there in the United States, and 19.2% received social security benefits. So that automatically means that there is 65% is taking care of the other 35%, right? So how is that possible? Yes, how many people step up and take charge of their life? So that's my question. Yeah, so that's very important. So that's one of the reasons that I'm in the network marketing industry, because there you can grow, and with enough self-development, with enough effort, consistency, discipline, you can have financial freedom. Yes, it's not happening automatically, but you have to work for it. Yes, so it's not that you get rich quick. But the last statement is, freedom is not self-evident. We have to earn it, and we have to fight for it. Yes, and what is happening right now, we are like zombies. Yeah, most people in the world are like zombies. They accept everything what is happening, everything what is going on. Yes, it's simply how it is, but that's conformity. Yeah? There was a good video from Earl Nightingale in 1957, The Strangest Secret, and he also talks about the conformity of people. Yeah, so that's why 5% of world's population is rich, and the other 95% is suffering. Yeah, so okay, so freedom is not self-evident. We have to earn it, we have to fight for it, and also we have to protect it. And that's not what is happening right now. So I know it is maybe a very sensitive subject, what I'm talking about, freedom, and not everyone has the same opinion. I know it. But what I already said, I took the risk to talk about it, because you should evaluate your own life on all these points of freedom, and should maybe you should give yourself a number on a scale from 1 to 10 on all these points, if that is really what you are experiencing right now, because most of the times we are living from day to day. Yeah, so we don't dive into what it is, what we really experience. And life takes us away, right? So, and we live from day to day. So, and that's not what we want. So, and my final message is, you can always escape your past now, because your past is in the past. and now is now. You can't escape your past right now. You should do something with it, because otherwise you will own nothing and be happy.